Pass the wine, would you? I held out my glass toward Casey, already feeling warm and loose from the 3 glasses I'd had. Dinner parties at our place always put me in a good mood, especially when I wasn't the one cooking. Ryan had outdone himself with the roast chicken, as usual. Casey filled my glass with a knowing smirk. Maybe slow down? You get chatty when you're tipsy. That's why everyone loves me, I winked, taking another sip. Ryan laughed from across the table. It's true. Remember our second date when you told me your entire life story because you had too much Pinot? I was being efficient, I protested. Why waste time on small talk when you could learn everything about me in one night? The table erupted in laughter. Ryan's eyes met mine with that warm look that had first drawn me to him 3 years ago. His hand briefly squeezed my knee under the table. Daniel raised his glass. To the hosts, still disgustingly in love after all this time. Speaking of love stories, Casey said, turning to our newer friends, how did you two meet? I don't think I've heard the full story. Ryan smiled at me. Should I tell it, or do you want to? You tell it, I said, leaning back in my chair. I love hearing your version. We met through a mutual friend at a charity event. I spotted Ellie across the room and couldn't take my eyes off her. Oh, please, I interrupted, the wine making me brave. You're making it sound like love at first sight. It kind of was, Ryan said softly. Something flickered in my brain, a mischievous impulse I couldn't suppress. Actually, I said with a laugh, Ryan was technically my second choice. The table went silent. Remember Jake from college? I continued, unaware of the sudden tension. I always thought we'd end up together, but he moved to London for his music, so... I shrugged, taking another sip of wine. I looked up to find everyone staring at me. Ryan's smile had vanished, replaced by something I'd never seen before. Pure hurt. I'm kidding, I added quickly. It was a joke. The silence stretched uncomfortably until Casey cleared her throat. So, Daniel, how's the new project going? The conversation resumed, but Ryan barely spoke for the rest of the night. I can't believe you're still upset about this, I said 3 days later, watching Ryan move wordlessly around our kitchen. It was just a stupid joke. Was it? He didn't look at me as he loaded the dishwasher. Of course it was. Do you honestly think I married my second choice? Ryan finally turned to face me. I never thought about it until you said it in front of all our friends. His voice was controlled, but his eyes gave him away. Come on, that's ridiculous. Jake was 10 years ago. You've mentioned him before, how talented he was, how exciting. I stepped closer, trying to touch his arm, but he shifted away. Ryan, you're my husband. I chose you. After Jake chose London. He closed the dishwasher with a firm click. That's not fair. Isn't it? You made it pretty clear the other night. I threw my hands up. It was a joke. Why are you making this into such a big deal? Because it didn't sound like a joke, Ellie. It sounded like a truth you've been keeping from me for 3 years. He walked out of the kitchen, leaving me staring after him. The morning we signed the lease on our apartment, Ryan surprised me with breakfast in bed. I can still picture him standing in the doorway, a tray balanced in his hands, sunlight streaming behind him. First morning in our place, he'd said, his face full of hope. The first of thousands. I believed him then. Now, 2 weeks after the dinner party, we barely spoke as we moved around each other like strangers sharing temporary accommodations. Casey called while I was at work. Have you guys made up yet? She asked. He's still being ridiculous about it, I said, lowering my voice in my office cubicle. It's like living with a ghost. You did kind of humiliate him, Elle. It was a joke. Was it, though? You dated Jake for what, 2 years? That's ancient history. Not if you're still calling your husband your second choice, I sighed. Whose side are you on? Yours, obviously. That's why I'm telling you this might be bigger than you think. That night, I decided to fix things. I bought Ryan's favorite takeout, put on the dress he loved, and waited for him to come home from work. "What's all this?" he asked when he walked in, his expression guarded. "Peace offering," I said, trying to smile. "I thought we could talk." He sat across from me, the food untouched between us. "I'm sorry about what I said," I began. "It was thoughtless and not even true." "Then why say it?" "I don't know. The wine, trying to be funny." "Do you ever think about him?" Ryan's question caught me off guard. "Jake?" "No, not really." "Not really isn't no." I felt frustration building. "What do you want me to say, Ryan?" "That I've never thought about my college boyfriend? That would be a lie. I want the truth." "The truth is I married you. I love you." Ryan looked down at his untouched plate. "I think I need some space." My heart dropped. "What does that mean?" "I don't know yet." 3 days later, Ryan slept in the guest room. 4 days after that, he suggested we take a break. By the end of the month, the word separation entered our vocabulary. I found him packing a suitcase on a Sunday morning. "This is insane," I said, watching him fold shirts with mechanical precision. "You're throwing away 3 years of marriage over one stupid comment." "It's not just the comment, Ellie." Ryan paused, looking tired. "It's that when you said it, everything suddenly made sense." "What are you talking about?" "The way you sometimes look through me instead of at me. How you never fully commit to our future plans. How you keep parts of yourself locked away." "That's not fair," I whispered, though something cold and uncomfortable settled in my stomach. "I've always felt like I was auditioning for the role of your husband. Now I know why." "That's not true." I followed him as he moved to the bathroom for his toiletries. "Ryan, you can't just leave." "I need to figure out if I can live with being someone's second choice." "Stop saying that." It was a joke. He zipped the suitcase closed. Jokes usually have some truth in them. Daniel helped Ryan move the rest of his things the following weekend. I stayed in our bedroom, unable to watch. When I heard Daniel's voice in the hallway, I stepped out. "Is he coming back up?" I asked. Daniel shook his head. "He's waiting in the car." "He won't even say goodbye?" My voice cracked. "Give him time, Ellie." "He's overreacting." Daniel's expression hardened slightly. "You know, I was there that night. I saw his face when you said it. It was a joke." "Maybe to you." He picked up the last box. "Some things you can't take back." After Daniel left, I wandered through our half-empty apartment. Ryan's books were gone from the shelf, his fancy coffee machine missing from the counter, his toothbrush no longer beside mine. I sat on my bed and scrolled through old photos on my phone. Ryan and me on our honeymoon. Ryan making silly faces at the camera. Ryan sleeping with his mouth slightly open, unaware I was taking his picture. In one impulsive moment, I pulled up Instagram and searched for Jake. His profile showed him performing at some club in London, guitar in hand, the same mischievous smile I remembered from college. I stared at his face, trying to recall why I had once been so certain he was the one. My phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. "I'll call about the rest of the arrangements later this week." So formal, so final. I looked back at Jake's picture, then at the empty closet where Ryan's clothes used to hang. The crushing weight of reality finally hit me. I had destroyed my marriage with 15 careless words, and I wasn't sure I could fix it. 6 months without Ryan. 6 months of sleeping alone in our bed. My bed now, I guess. 6 months of divorce papers and lawyer meetings. 6 months of crying in the shower where no one could hear me. "Are you sure you don't want me to come with you today?" Casey asked over the phone as I searched for parking near my lawyer's office. "I'm fine," I said, spotting a space. "It's just another meeting about asset division." "How are you feeling about it all?" I sighed, turning off the engine. Some days I want to burn all his remaining stuff. Other days I want to beg him to come home. That's normal. Is it normal to keep checking his Instagram every hour? Casey was quiet for a moment. Ellie, that's not healthy. I know. Have you reached out to him lately? No, I admitted. Last time we talked, he was so formal, like we were business associates wrapping up a failed project. Maybe that's how he needs to handle this. Maybe. I watched a couple walk by holding hands. Gotta go. Meeting time. My lawyer was a severe woman with perfectly manicured nails and zero patience for emotional outbursts. Mr. Morgan's attorney has submitted the final property settlement, she said, sliding papers across her desk. He's being quite generous about the apartment. He's being quite generous about everything, oh, I muttered. She looked at me over her reading glasses. That's usually considered a good thing in divorce proceedings, Ms. Morgan. I know. It just makes it harder to be angry at him. Would you prefer a contentious divorce? No, I'd prefer no divorce at all. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her expression softened slightly. I understand, but from a legal perspective, this is as smooth as these things get. You should consider yourself fortunate. Fortunate. Right. I was scrolling through social media that night when I saw it. Ryan smiling next to a woman I didn't recognize. Her arm was looped through his, head tilted against his shoulder. The caption read, "Great night at the symphony with this one." My fingers shook as I examined the photo. She was pretty, blonde, slender. Her smile seemed genuine, not posed. The comments were worse. You two look so happy. About time you found someone who appreciates you. Lauren is such a catch. Lauren. Her name was Lauren. I threw my phone across the couch and grabbed the wine bottle from the coffee table, not bothering with the glass. 6 months of divorce proceedings, and he was already moving on. Before I could stop myself, I was dialing Casey. He has a girlfriend, I said when she answered. Oh, Ellie. Her name is Lauren. They went to the symphony. She's blonde. I'm coming over. No, I said quickly. I'm fine. I just needed to tell someone. Are you sure? I can be there in 20 minutes. I'm sure. I'll call you tomorrow. I hung up and retrieved my phone, staring at the photo again. They looked right together, happy, like Ryan and I used to look. My email pinged with a new message. The sender made my heart skip. Jake Westfield. Hey, stranger, I'm back in town for a few weeks. Drinks? I still can't believe you're here, I said, sitting across from Jake at a trendy downtown bar 3 days later. He looked good, better than in college, actually. Success had given him a confidence that was undeniably attractive. London was amazing, but I missed home. His smile was exactly as I remembered. Missed some people, too. I took a sip of my cocktail. I heard your band's doing well. We've got a European tour lined up next year. He leaned forward. So catch me up. I heard through the grapevine that you're separated? The word still stung. Divorce is being finalized next month. I'm sorry. What happened? I hesitated. It's complicated. We've got all night, he said, signaling the waiter for another round. I made a stupid joke at a dinner party, called Ryan my second choice. I laughed bitterly. Mentioned you, actually. Jake's eyebrows shot up. Me? Said he was my second choice after you moved to London. Wow. He seemed pleased. Any left over that? It wasn't just the comment. It was everything it revealed, I guess. Still seems like an overreaction. Jake's hand brushed mine. His loss. The touch sent an unexpected thrill through me, followed immediately by guilt. It's not that simple. It never is. His eyes locked on mine. But sometimes things work out exactly as they should. Casey wasn't thrilled when I told her about meeting Jake. Seriously? The guy who broke your heart in college? She said over brunch the next day. He didn't break my heart. We just wanted different things. And now? What does he want now? I pushed my eggs around the plate. We're just reconnecting as friends. Ellie. Her tone made me look up. Be careful. The timing is suspicious. What's that supposed to mean? He shows up right when you're at your most vulnerable, after years of silence? He didn't know about the divorce until I told him. Casey looked unconvinced. Just don't use him to get back at Ryan. I'm not! But even as I protested, I knew part of me had already imagined Ryan's reaction if he saw me with Jake. I didn't have to imagine it for long. The universe has a twisted sense of humor. Jake and I were at Stellini's, Ryan's favorite restaurant, when I spotted them at a corner table. Ryan and Lauren. His hand was covering hers on the tablecloth. Ellie? You okay? Jake asked, noticing my sudden silence. My husband is here, I whispered. Ex-husband. Almost ex. Jake turned to look. The guy with the blonde? I nodded, feeling sick. Want to leave? No. I straightened my shoulders. No, I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. With each glass of wine, I became less fine. I laughed too loudly at Jake's jokes, touched his arm too often. I was putting on a show, and we both knew it. When Ryan and Lauren stood to leave, they had to walk past our table. I pretended not to notice until they were almost upon us. Ryan, I said, looking up with feigned surprise. Hi. He stopped, his hand on Lauren's back. Ellie, hello? An awkward silence followed. This is Jake, I finally said. Jake, this is Ryan. Something flickered in Ryan's eyes at the name. Recognition, pain, anger, gone in an instant. Nice to meet you, Ryan said politely. This is Lauren. She smiled tentatively. Hi. I couldn't return the smile. Enjoying the symphony these days, I see. Ryan's jaw tightened. We should go. Have a good evening. You replaced me quickly, I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. Ellie, Jake warned quietly. Ryan looked at me steadily. I'm moving forward. You should too. With the woman you were probably seeing before we even separated? Lauren's eyes widened. I should wait outside, she murmured, slipping away. That's not fair, Ryan said, his voice low. We met at a work function 2 months ago. Right, of course. Perfect Ryan would never cheat. I didn't, and you know it. He glanced at Jake. Interesting choice of dinner companion. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Goodbye, Ellie. I watched him walk away, join Lauren outside, saw him put his arm around her, saw her lean into him. That went well, Jake said sarcastically. Shut up. Hey, I'm on your side here. Are you? I drained my wine glass. Let's get out of here. Jake walked me to my door. I was drunk and miserable, not a great combination. Want me to come in? He asked, standing too close. Not tonight, I said, fumbling with my keys. He leaned in, his lips brushing my ear. We could pick up where we left off 10 years ago. I'm a mess right now, Jake. I don't mind. His hand slid to my waist. You're still hot when you're a mess. I pulled back, suddenly seeing him clearly. Is that all you care about? Come on, Ellie. We're both adults here. I just humiliated myself in front of my ex-husband. I'm going through a divorce. And all you can think about is getting laid? Jake's expression hardened. You seemed pretty interested back at the restaurant. I was putting on a show for Ryan. So you were using me? Apparently not as much as you were hoping to use me. I unlocked my door. Good night, Jake. Inside, I leaned against the closed door, tears streaming down my face. I caught sight of my reflection in the hallway mirror. Mascara smudged, hair disheveled, eyes hollow. The woman staring back at me was a stranger I didn't much like. I walked to my bedroom and opened my jewelry box. My wedding ring sat nestled in velvet, untouched since the day I'd taken it off. I picked it up, the metal cool against my skin. For the first time, I allowed myself to admit the truth. The joke at the dinner party hadn't created our problems. It had just exposed them. And the perfect first choice I'd held on to for years had just shown his true colors. I had no one to blame but myself. The day my divorce became final was surprisingly ordinary. No dramatic courtroom scene, just my signature on documents that officially ended my marriage. I stood outside the lawyer's office clutching the manila envelope, unsure what to do next. My phone buzzed with a text from Casey. How did it go? Done. Officially divorced, I replied, coming over with wine, no arguments. I looked at my phone again and saw 3 missed calls from Jake. After our disaster of a night at the restaurant 2 weeks ago, I'd been avoiding him. But something about the finality of the divorce made me reckless. Free for coffee tomorrow? I texted him. His response came immediately. Absolutely. The usual place at 2? You look like hell, Casey said bluntly, setting down a bottle of wine on my coffee table that night. Thanks. Just what every newly divorced woman wants to hear. She poured us each a glass. Have you heard from Ryan? His lawyer sent flowers. Can you believe that? Not from Ryan, from his lawyer. A sorry about your divorce's bouquet. That's thoughtful, I guess. I took a large sip of wine. I'm seeing Jake tomorrow. Casey nearly choked. After what happened last time? I need closure or something, I don't know. Ellie. She put her glass down. What are you hoping will happen? I couldn't meet her eyes. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Jake and I were meant to be all along. You can't be serious. Why not? Ryan's moved on. Maybe the universe is giving me another chance with Jake. Casey's expression was pained. The universe isn't giving you anything. Jake showing up now isn't fate. It's convenient timing for him. You don't know that. I know you're vulnerable right now, and I know Jake has always been selfish. I stood up, suddenly angry. You never liked him. Because I saw how he treated you in college. He left you the minute something better came along. His music career was important to him. And you weren't. Casey's voice softened. Honey, you've built him up in your head for years. The real Jake isn't your perfect first choice. Maybe I need to find that out for myself. Jake chose a trendy cafe downtown for our meeting. I arrived early, careful with my appearance in a way I hadn't been in months. When he walked in, my heart did that familiar little jump, the one I'd been chasing since college. You look great, he said, kissing my cheek before sitting down. Thanks for meeting me, I replied. I wanted to apologize for the other night. Jake waved it off. Water under the bridge. How are you doing with everything? The divorce was finalized yesterday. Ah, he nodded sympathetically. That must be rough. It is, but maybe it's for the best. Maybe now I can explore what might have been. His expression changed subtly. What might have been? With us, I clarified, feeling suddenly uncertain. We never really got closure. Jake stirred his coffee slowly. Ellie, I thought we were just catching up as old friends. The bottom dropped out of my stomach. Oh. I should probably tell you. I'm engaged. I froze with my cup halfway to my lips. Engaged? Yeah. He smiled. Actually smiled. Her name's Sophia. We've been together for 2 years. She's back in London finishing up some work before joining me here. Congratulations, I managed. Why didn't you mention her before? He shrugged. It didn't come up. It didn't come up? My voice rose slightly. When I told you I was getting divorced? When you walked me to my door and tried to come inside? Jake glanced around nervously. Keep your voice down. That was just, I don't know, old habits? Old habits? You mean trying to sleep with your ex while your fiancé is in another country? He had the decency to look embarrassed. Look, what we had in college was fun, but it wasn't serious, Ellie. It was never going to be forever. The words hit me like physical blows. Fun, but not serious. Yeah, we were kids. And that night at my apartment, what was that? He lowered his voice. Can you blame me? You looked good. We'd been drinking. It was just physical attraction. I stared at him, truly seeing him for the first time. You know, For years, I thought of you as the one who got away. My first choice. Really? He seemed genuinely surprised, and somehow that was the worst part. Really, I whispered. What an idiot I've been. Don't be so hard on yourself, he said, checking his watch. We all have fantasies about the past. Is that all I was to you? A fantasy about the past? Ellie, come on. We're adults. People move on. He glanced at his watch again. I actually need to head out soon. I've got a call with Sophia in 20 minutes. I nodded, numb. Of course. Don't let me keep you. He stood and gave me that charming smile that once made my heart race. Now it just looked hollow. It's been great reconnecting. Maybe we can all get together when Sophia arrives. You, me, her, and... What was your ex's name again? Ryan, I said quietly. His name is Ryan. I walked home in a daze, Jake's words echoing in my head. Fun, but not serious. We were kids. People move on. The truth crashed down on me with crushing clarity. I had idealized Jake for years, holding him up as some perfect love that got away. In reality, he was selfish, inconsiderate, and completely unworthy of being anyone's first choice. And Ryan, loyal, loving Ryan, had known it all along. He'd seen through my comment at the dinner party to the truth beneath, that I had never fully committed to our marriage because I was holding on to a fantasy. When I got home, I took out a pen and paper and began to write. Dear Ryan, by the time you read this, our divorce will be final. I won't ask you to reconsider. I know that bridge is burned. What I want to say is that I'm sorry, not just for the stupid joke that started all this, but for something much deeper. For years, I held on to this idea that Jake was my first choice, the one who got away. Today, I finally saw him for who he really is, and I realized something devastating. You were always my first choice. You were the one who loved me completely, who built a life with me, who saw me at my worst and stayed anyway. I threw that away for a fantasy that never existed. The irony is that Jake was never worth being anyone's first choice, certainly not mine. I hope someday you can forgive me, not so we can try again, but so we can both find peace. Lauren seems to make you happy, and you deserve that happiness more than anyone I know. I wish you every joy, even if I can't be the one to give it to you. Ellie. I folded the letter carefully and placed it in my desk drawer. I knew I would never send it. Some things are better left unsaid. 3 months later, I was in line at my favorite coffee shop when I heard his voice. Ellie? I turned to find Ryan standing behind me. He looked good, rested, happy. Ryan, hi. My heart raced, but not painfully. How are you? Good, busy with work. He gestured to his takeout cup, just grabbing coffee before heading back to the office. Same, I smiled. How's Lauren? She's great, thanks. He hesitated. How have you been? Better, I said honestly, taking things one day at a time. The barista called my name, and I collected my drink. I heard from Casey you're seeing a therapist, Ryan said. That's really good. It's helping. Turns out I had some things to work through. He nodded. I wanted to tell you, I got a job offer in Seattle. Seattle? That's fantastic. When do you leave? Next month. Lauren's coming with me. I'm happy for you, I said, and meant it. You deserve good things, Ryan. So do you, Ellie. An awkward silence fell between us. Well, I should get going, he finally said. Of course. Good luck in Seattle. Thanks. He gave me a small smile. Take care of yourself. You too. I watched him walk away, knowing it was probably the last time I would ever see him. The thought brought sadness, but not the desperate ache of before. Casey found me sitting by the window when she arrived. Was that Ryan I just saw leaving? Yeah. You okay? I considered the question carefully. But I will be. She squeezed my hand. Any word from Jake? He left for London last week. Apparently his fiancée didn't want to relocate after all. Are you disappointed? I laughed, genuinely laughed. God, no. Jake was never my first choice. He was just the choice I thought I should have made. There's a difference. So what now? Casey asked. I looked out the window, watching people rush by. Now I figure out who I am without defining myself by someone else's love. I'm choosing myself first for a change. And for the first time since that fateful dinner party, I felt something close to peace.